A young man lives in a bubble built in his bedroom, completely isolated from the rest of the world. Until the day he must abandon the safety of his home, and go on a bizarre journey to find the girl he loves. Today, we'll recap the story of the 2001 movie Bubble Boy. When Jimmy Livingston was born, he had to be hospitalized because Ray had no more immunity. Therefore a single germ could kill him. But at the age of 4 he was able to leave the hospital, and his parents took him home. His mother would not allow any other children near him. The couple takes the boy directly to his room, where they had built a bubble to protect him from the outside world. Attached to the bubble were 2 retractable arms, which his mother used to be able to touch him. Despite his illness, Jimmy was a happy and grateful child for his family. Mrs. Livingston was the one who took Jimmy's hair, and taught him everything he knew. The woman even selected the magazines and TV shows that the young man watched. The neighborhood boys would occasionally appear at the window to tease the bubble boy, but his mother was always there to defend him. Everything that Jimmy touched had to pass through the decontamination chamber first, including the terrible soy-based cookies that his mother gave him to eat. At the nonetheless, instead of getting a car, like the kids in the neighborhood, Jimmy got an electric guitar, and he spent the whole day playing the instrument. One day a new family moves into the neighborhood, and Jimmy falls in love with Chloe, his neighbor. During the following years, he would spend hours cleaning his window, just so he could spy on the girl. After class, Chloe is given a ride by her classmates, who are surprised to discover that the young woman lives next door to the bubble boy. They tell some rumors they have heard about Jimmy, and Chloe is irritated to hear bad things about the boy. She gets out of the car and walks toward the Livingston family home. When she knocks on the door, she is greeted by Morton, and the man allows Chloe to enter. While he goes to the kitchen, the girl observes the giant air tunnel that runs through the house, and decides to follow it to check what's at the other end. She walks up the stairs and soon reaches Jimmy's room. Within seconds they find a common interest, for they both love Land of the Lost. While they are talking, Chloe discovers that the boy plays guitar, and asks if he can teach her. The next day, as promised, the young woman returns so they can rehearse together. Their friendship grows, and every day she finds time to spend with Jimmy. Even with the boy trapped inside a bubble, his mother was always around to keep an eye on them. At Christmas, Chloe gives him a guinea pig, so that the young man could have company, even when she was not there. A few weeks later, during the night, Chloe comes through Jimmy's window carrying some beers. It was her birthday that day, and the girl was sad that her best friend didn't come to her party, so she decides to take the party to him. Chloe intends to kiss him, and he enters the decontamination chamber. However, before she can enter the bubble, the young woman ends up sleeping. Months later, she graduates from high school, and he gets a stupid boyfriend to accompany her to graduation. When Mark enters Jimmy's room, Chloe introduces the two of them, and he asks to be excused to go to the bathroom. Meanwhile, Mark lights a cigarette and he nearly destroys the bubble. Then the young woman returns, and the bubble bar watches the two of them leave together. 2 years later, the couple is still together. Mark insists on spicing up the relationship, but Chloe says she wants to wait until after the wedding. Jimmy was at the window, and he overhears the whole conversation. When he shares his anguish with his mother, the woman says that she tried to warn him, and he says that all the gators will leave him one day. Mrs. Livingston goes on to say that Chloe didn't love him, she just felt sorry for him, because no more woman would ever marry a guy who can't even touch her. A few days pass and Chloe goes to visit her friend. She shows up with news, and he tells him that Mark has asked her to marry him. The ceremony will take place next Saturday in Niagara Falls, since Jimmy is her best friend. Chloe asks him if he thinks Mark is the right person for her. However, the boy refuses to answer her, and Chloe tells him that she did something for him. While the young woman puts the box in the decontamination chamber, Jimmy returns the guinea pig, and he states that he doesn't want it anymore. Disappointed, the girl leaves, and Jimmy experiences the worst day of his life. When he finally gets up the courage to open the box, he finds a globe made by Chloe, with a note saying that she loves him. Regretful for what Hey has done, Jimmy spends hours building a bubble suit so Hey can get himself to Niagara Falls. Andy stopped the wedding. Hey has only 3 days to get there. Andy his bubble suit needs to last the entire way. Initially the boy has trouble walking with the thing. Andy rolls down the stairs. His next challenge is to get through the door. But after a few attempts, Hey manages to accomplish the mission. Now for the first time in many years, Jimmy stands outside his room. Andy takes the opportunity to enjoy every detail of the outside world. In a few minutes he learns how to walk with that thing. Andy runs to the bus station. Hey says that Hey needs to go to Niagara Falls. Andy the attendant informs him that the ticket costs $260 since Hey doesn't have enough money. Jimmy leaves to try another plan. While crossing the road he is hit by a yellow bus. The driver returns Andy a group of musicians go to check if the boy is alright. They say they can give Jimmy a ride. Andy they sing in the vehicle all the way. At this point, the boy takes the opportunity to celebrate with them. That morning when Mrs. Livingston goes to take the coffee to her son, she finds that the boy is not there. Andy becomes desperate meanwhile. Jimmy discovers that those people who were giving him a ride were not part of a musical group, but of a cult. On hearing this, the young people feel offended. Andy abandoned Jimmy in the middle of the desert. After walking for a few hours, Hey lies down on the ground to rest. Andy a vulture appears to devour him. The boy tries to get rid of the bird, but it runs after him. While Jimmy is running away from the animal, his parents go to the bus station. Andy after talking to the attendant, they find out that the boy was going to Las Vegas. Hours later the bubble boy meets a biker on the road. The man was trying to fix his motorcycle. Andy Jimmy manages to help him as a thank you. After hearing the story of the boy who was abandoned in the desert, Slim offers to take him to Niagara Falls. Hey tells how when Hey was younger, Hey fell in love with a woman whose nickname was Wildfire. However, she left him to marry a little boy. To prevent the same thing from happening to the boy, they get on the motorcycle and they are on their way to Las Vegas, in some remote place in the middle of the desert. The young people meet with the other members of the cult and their spiritual guide reveals that they are there to find out which is the final reincarnation of the chosen one. When the man removes the handkerchief from the stone, everyone discovers that the chosen one is a boy, surrounded by a glass globe. In this instant the crazy ones believe that their leader was referring to Jimmy, the young man they threw off the bus. Upon arriving in Las Vegas, the duo decides to stop at the casinos. Andy the bubble boy experiences things Hey had never imagined. During a show, Hey is passed from hand to hand through the audience. Then Slim takes it to play the slot machines. At this point Hey realizes that Hey has wasted the entire night in that place, but the beaker refuses to leave without first getting some money. So Jimmy takes the scooter Hey won in a game of chance. Andy continues on his journey without even saying goodbye to Slim. Later, while the beaker is looking for his new friend, Hey comes across the young people who abandoned him in the desert. Andy goes after them. However, before fleeing, the cult members destroy the man's motorcycle. Andy dives away just then. The boy's parents arrive in Las Vegas. Andy go out on the streets looking for him, while Morton is driving. His wife spots Jimmy. Desperate, the woman takes the wheel. Andy stops the car in front of the boy. With the collision, Jimmy ends up being thrown into a train car. When dawn breaks, he realizes that the wagon is full of hideous creatures that make up a circus troupe, and they are responsible for the horror show. One of the freaks advises the boy to get the hell out, because if Dr. Freak finds him in that wagon, he will want to incorporate him into his cast. Then the door opens and the doctor appears.